completed that bottom part of our model. The next thing is we have to create the top part of our model. So we are going to create a separate cylinder and we will be continuing the same process. Once we completed the model, then we will align both of them and we'll just combine both of them together. Okay, so for that we are going to start creating a cylinder, and here we'll go to the top view, and in the center itself we will just create a cylinder or like this, and we'll go to the front view and we'll give it a certain height which will match with our image. So once that is done, we are going to roughly position it where it needs to be. Now we actually align the cylinder properly. The next thing is we are going to go to the input options, and we are going to reduce that subdivision value to 12, so it will match with our previous model also. Once that is done, we are going to select the vertex, and we are going to select all the top vertex, and we are going to scale it like so. Once that is done, we are going to select the top vertex and we are just going to move it up, so it will have a slightly rounded shape like that. Once that is done, the next thing is we are going to select all the faces down here, and one more thing, if you want to focus on that particular model alone itself, you can press Shift I on the keyboard, or you can press this icon, isolate selected option. Either you have to click this icon here, isolate option, or you can press Shift I on the keyboard, and that particular model will be isolated in the selected view. So you will be able to focus solely on that single model, and you will not have any other distractions. So you can actually focus on that particular model and you will be able to create it. So once that is done, you can just go to the face options and you can make sure that everything is selected. Once that is done, we are going to shift right click and select extrude option, and this time the move tool is active. So we are going to scale this particular faces. So you can just click on either one of these scale icons, like these rectangle boxes. Once you click on that, the scale tool will be enabled, and now you can actually click on the center part and you can just scale it slightly inside. Okay, now we have to extrude once again. Now if you actually move it, we are actually not extruding again, we are just moving the previous faces itself. So what you can do is just you can press Shift right click and select extrude faces again, or you can just press letter G on the keyboard, and the same option, the previously enabled option will be again re-enabled. For example, previously we used extrude option, so the extrude option will be enabled. If you are using something else, and that particular tool will be enabled. After you extrude it again, you can just move it down, so we'll create a slightly depth, something like that, same like in our model. So once that is done, that part of our model is completed. The next thing is we're going to extrude again once more. Again press G on the keyboard, and this time we are just going to scale it and create a cap like that. Okay, once that is done, you can just shift right click and select object mode, and you can select this particular edge loop, and you can move it up or down in order to create any kind of edits or anything like you want, like that. Okay, now if you press 3 on the keyboard, you can see the smoothed version of that particular model. And the next thing is we are going to continue the same process, and we are going to complete that complete the entire model. So the next thing is we want to add a extra edge loop here. We'll be able to edit the rest of the model. So we are going to look at one more tool which is called edge loop tool. So once the model is in object mode, you can just press shift right click on the keyboard, and you can just select insert edge loop tool. So this tool actually enables you to create edge loops between two of the edges. So for example, between this edge loop and between this edge loop, we will be able to add as many edge loops as we want. So we are going to create two edge loops here, one near the here and one at the top. After that, you can just in the front view itself, you can actually select the entire edge loop and you can scale it so it will just match with our concept model, something like that. Okay, and once you completed that, if you want, you can add extra edge loops in between. I'm going to add one more in the top, and I'm going to make it a small bump similar to the one in our concept image. Now if you press 3 on the keyboard, you can see how our final model is actually looking. So once that is done, in the center also you can actually make some edits. For example, I'm going to add one more edge loop here, one more caps, and I'm slightly moving it up like so, and the center vertex also I'm moving it up, so it's actually slightly curved inside, so it will make a nice effect. So once that is done, you can just press 3 on the keyboard to see the final image, and if you are happy with it, you can re-enable all the previous model by pressing shift I on the keyboard, or you can just click on the isolate option. So rest of the models, everything will be visible back. So once that is done, you can just select the model and go back to hard view by pressing number 1 on the keyboard, and you can just use the rotate tool in order to align the model with our final concept image. Okay, once that is done, the next thing we are going to focus on is our door.